Hi, my name is Joe, and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do my first book haul video. I've mentioned before, I'm a slow reader. I'm going through June on the Range right now. The book I'm reading, I haven't had a lot of time to try to blitz through it as fast as I want. So I decided, I'll make a video on something else. I went to the bookshop today, had to run an errand. It just happened to be next to Half Price Books. So I may have picked up a few things. I don't want to make a long video, so I'm just going to jump right into this. The first three books are Star Trek books. I am participating in Book Trek 2024, The Wrath of the Summer of Trek. I've already got my next couple Star Trek books picked out. I'm going to read the novelization of the motion picture, and then I'm going to read Star Trek Voyager number 2, The Escape. So I don't know if I'm going to get to these, but it's a long summer, so maybe I will. The first one is Mutiny on the Enterprise by Robert E. Vardaman. I'm sorry if I got that name wrong. I've looked this up on Goodreads. I just saw the title, Mutiny on the Enterprise. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. It's in good condition, so I picked it up. It's super cheap. I did look this up on Goodreads when I got home. It doesn't get the highest ratings, but I've got it. It's really thin, so if it's not good, it's super thin. I am curious to find out why these uniforms are so different. Another thing, this is, I believe, kind of an earlier pocketbooks Trek book. I noticed it's got this Timescape label. It's not a numbered Trek book. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about, which ones say Timescape, why do they say Timescape. But looking at the publication date and the list at the front of Star Trek pocketbooks, it looks like this is kind of predates the numbered books. So the next book I have is a numbered book. And this is one that I've been keeping my eyes peeled for, and I was happy to find it. And this one is My Enemy, My Ally, Star Trek TOS number 18 by Diane Duane. I've heard this one, if you look at which TOS novels to read, this one is usually at the top of the list. And another thing, I was checking the publication date, and I just happened to see I have, apparently, a copy that's been signed by the author. I looked online. That does appear to be Diane Duane's signature. I've seen another copy of this same book with kind of the same formatting with someone else's name up here, Best, and then her name. So I'm going to do a little more research to confirm that this actually is her signature. But, for something, I picked this up for, it was certainly less than $3, maybe even less than $2, in pretty good condition. And it happens to be signed. So I'm really happy with that. This one, if I want to dive into TOS, I probably will try to get this read this summer. Because I know, like I said, I've been looking for this one for a while, and I finally found it. So there it is, My Enemy, My Ally. The last Star Trek book I want to show off is not one that I'm super excited to read. It's more if I got it just to get the number one, but it's Star Trek Voyager number one, Caretaker, and this is simply a novelization of the first episode. I don't know if it's any good. The one that I am excited to read, I mentioned, is Star Trek Voyager number 2, The Escape. And this one, I ordered this one on AbeBooks. I ordered Voyager number 1, 2, and 3, and unfortunately number 1 got lost in the mail, so I saw this on the shelf at Half Price Books, and I'll pick it up just to get number 1. So I've got it. And that does it for Star Trek books. Next, we're going to go into a couple Westerns. And this one is a book that I have been wanting to pick up, and I happen to see it. It's True Grit by Charles Portis. June on the Range, we're halfway through. I am, and there's some things going on in life that I've started this summer that is keeping me from, it's limiting my reading time. So I don't know if I'm going to get to this for June on the Range. I've already kind of got my June on the Range books picked out. But I'm happy to have this. I was actually hoping to get a slightly different edition with like the black and white cover. This edition, it's not in great shape. But I've got it. Next up, another Western. This is Louis L'Amour, Guns of the Timberlands. I know nothing about this. I don't know if it's considered a good Louis L'Amour novel, but I really like the cover. It's nice and violent. It looks great. And in my video on Hondo, I mentioned that I prefer these editions of Louis L'Amour novels. I like the ones with the artwork takes up the full page, as opposed to my Hondo edition, which has the solid color background where the artwork kind of looks like a smaller picture frame. I like this better. And these are the versions with the white spine. They do make versions, if you know Louis L'Amour, you already know this. They do make versions where the artwork kind of wraps around, but I like the white spine. I think these look really nice in the shelf. But, it still looks pulpy on the front. So this one's pretty thin. Again, I don't know if I'll fit it in for June on the range, but there it is. Next up, not a Western, but another Louis L'Amour. This is The Walking Drum. If you look up best of Louis L'Amour lists, this one is inevitably going to be at the top. I saw it for cheap. I decided to pick it up. And speaking of editions, I'm not a big fan of this style mass market paperback. But again, a lot of these books, I'm trying to get them as cheap as possible. I don't care about the edition, as long as the edition's in good shape. And this, looks like someone has read this, but it's in really good shape. So here it is. So excited to read that at some point. And that does it for Westerns. Well, maybe this next one might be considered a Western. And this next author is actually the reason why I wanted to go to Half Price Books today. The book that I was looking for, I actually did not see on the shelf. Someone else had picked it up. But I did pick up a couple novels by this author, and it's James A. Michener. I've recently watched videos by Steve Donahue and I will post a link to his account. His name is just escaping me, and I'm so sorry. So I'll post his name. I'll probably write his name in the video. But I've seen videos, not recent videos, but older videos from them going over Michener novels. And I decided I've never read a Michener novel. I actually own Hawaii and I think Texas. I kind of got them from my parents as I moved out of home. So I moved out of their home many, many years ago. They gave me a bunch of books that I've just never gotten to. And I've always heard good things about Michener. So this is Centennial. I believe this is about Colorado, so looks like it probably would qualify as a Western. I guarantee you I am not going to read this month. So I don't know when I'll get to it, but I've got it. Really cool mass market paperback edition. By the way, the book I was looking for was Michener's Space. And I know it is about kind of the Apollo program. Seemed really cool. It wasn't there, so I'll keep my eyes peeled for it. But the other Michener book I did pick up was The Source, and this is about the history he goes over is the Hebrews, early Christianity, the Crusades, but it's about kind of Judaism, and it's a story kind of that wraps around the history of Judaism. So there's that. Again, another fat book. I don't know when I'll get to this, but I've got it. All right, and the last book, and that does it for my book haul books, but I did want to share one more book, and this is a book that was a gift given to me recently for a recent birthday, and this is Percival Everett's new book called James. And this is a novel that is a retelling of Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, but from the perspective of Jim. It's been a while since I've read Huckleberry Finn. I read it. It was my junior year of high school, so that was quite some time ago now. I actually read a book report on it, if I remember correctly. And I really liked Huckleberry Finn. I think before I read this, maybe I'll read Huckleberry Finn again. Again, I don't know when I'll get to this. I have a number of Percival Everett books on my shelf that I need to read. And I discovered this author after seeing the movie American Fiction. I recommend that movie. I loved it. But I also recommend his book, Eraser, that the American Fiction is based off of. I think it's a case where the book is better than the movie, which, by the way, small aside, I don't agree. A lot of people say that. The book is always better. I don't always agree. There's, I think, plenty of movies that are better than the books. But Eraser is, I think, as good as American Fiction is, I think Eraser is better. I've also read So Much Blue by this author, and I loved it. And I've got a few more on the shelf that I've picked up that I'd like to get to. So I've got another one to add to my small Percival Everett collection. Anyway, he's a great author. If you see Percival Everett, I think I've only read 2 of his novels, but pick it up. You're probably going to like it. He's a really, really good author. So that does it for me. So we got book haul books, brand new hardback Percival Everett novel. Again, I don't know when I'm going to read these. I've got June on the Range to finish. I've got Star Trek books. And at some point, once June on the Range is over, I will probably get back into World War II history. So I don't know when I'll get to these. But hey, at some point, I will read them. But that's all for now. Thank you.